Yo, what is up, YouTube? It's your boy, YBP Gang, YBP Nation, YBP Boxing, YBP MMA. Coming at y'all with an early prediction video for DEIVESON Figueiredo versus DOMINICK CRUZ, which just got announced to be happening around September. No exact card or any specification in that regard. But this will be DEIVESON Figueiredo's, I believe, 135 debut, so bantamweight debut. He's coming off of the Moreno loss by TKO. It's kind of weird sequence where DEIVESON Figueiredo got hit with when they showed the replay, it was a punch, but I think he felt like he got an eye poke. He got poked in the eye. Said he couldn't continue, and the fight ended just like that, with Moreno winning the series. And then DOMINICK CRUZ is coming off of a KO loss versus Chito in a fight where, if I'm looking at it, I thought Chito was dominating the fight. He had multiple knockdowns during the fight. The judges, I think, for the scorecards had it, I think, 2-2. When I was watching it, I thought it was 4-4. 4-0. It's one of those things where Chito has, he doesn't really fight for rounds. He fights for the finish. So he can kind of be patient, maybe not do enough in a round to win it. But if it was like a video game, if I was making an analogy, Chito was progressively doing a lot of damage in each. How do I say this? Dominic might have been doing enough to win the rounds, but as the fight have gone on, if there were health bars on top of both fighters, you would see that DOMINICK CRUZ would be significantly lower than Chito Vera's, and I just felt like he just kept praying him and eventually got the finish. But now we're looking at the matchup that we got here. DOMINICK CRUZ, DEIVESON Figueiredo. It's really interesting because my initial thought was DOMINICK CRUZ is going to get ran through. This is, he just got KO'd by Chito Vera. He's been kind of inactive throughout his career. Seems like he's being a little more active now. It's he had a fight. It was, what was that, January, February, March? May. It's August, I think. Should be August. Something like that. At UFC San Diego. And now he's coming back. This month is July now. So it's not the crazy layoffs that he had, 3 years, a year. He's staying pretty decently active. He's been in there. But my worry for DEIVESON, because like I said, my initial thought was that DEIVESON was just going to get the win. But I'm thinking more about the fight. DEIVESON's moving up a weight class. He's going to be a smaller guy in there. Even though he does have, one interesting point is that he does have a 68-inch arm reach. So, it's not going to be that big of a disparity when it comes to getting to him. But I do worry about, first of all, even though DOMINICK CRUZ isn't considered to be a big puncher in any regard, he's more of a volume guy, I do worry that, DEIVESON feeling bantamweight power, maybe not reacting too well to it. As much as DOMINICK CRUZ is 38 years old, DEIVESON's also 35. So, he's getting up there in age too. Had a lot of fights. So is DOMINICK CRUZ though. So, a lot of the stuff I'm saying for DEIVESON sort of applies to DOMINICK CRUZ as well. So, and then I guess we look at that speed too. I feel like DOMINICK CRUZ is going to have a big speed advantage in the bout. Just with the movement, the volume, just staying on there. Even when he got dropped by Chito multiple times, he still had the speed. He was still moving really well. That's kind of been the trademark to his game. And then also the wrestling. We saw Moreno was able to utilize a wrestle. Now, I wouldn't say a wrestle-heavy game plan, but he was able to land some takedowns on DEIVESON in the last bout and eventually get the win. So that's going to be an avenue for victory that DOMINICK CRUZ could tackle. Nowadays, at least in that Chito fight, he was more striking, but I'll have to rewatch that fight to get a better gauge of this fight. This is just purely my initial thoughts. But I think it's definitely a lot closer than people are making it out to be. For sure, I think people think that DOMINICK CRUZ is washed. I was actually really impressed with DOMINICK CRUZ's performance with Chito up until the stop. Even though I thought he was losing most of the rounds and just getting cooked. But really that was more to Chito just hitting harder than him. And I don't think he's going to have, even though DEIVESON probably hits hard for a flyweight, does he hit hard for my question is, does he hit harder for a bantamweight when he's moving up a division? I think Dominick Cruz should be able to deal with that power fine. When Deiveson got announced to fight Manel Kape, I thought Manel Kape was gonna cook him, like completely destroy him. Now this Dominick Cruz, it's a winnable matchup for both sides. I could see how Deiveson Figueiredo could get the win. I could see how Dominick Cruz could get the win. But my official prediction, my early prediction for the fight, I'm gonna have to go with Dominick Cruz by decision, especially if it's a 3-round fight. I actually like that for Dominick Cruz. He can set a good pace, dance around a little bit. He doesn't have to worry about 5 rounds of consistent movement, maybe getting caught late. I think we have to remember that Chito fight. I'll have to recall, like look back at it, but Dominick Cruz probably would have won that fight if it was a 3-round fight. Even though he did get knocked down in a lot of those rounds, the judges were giving him rounds in the rounds that he was getting knocked down in because he was moving so well. He was catching Chito with jabs, just getting hit. What was I saying? Sorry, he was catching him with jabs. He was getting hit a lot. That's another thing that Chito has. Davison's a tough guy, but a lot of those flyweights, they don't knock out each other, It's like there just isn't a lot of finishing ability or power at the flyweight division. Now at bantamweight, there's a lot more powerful guys. Not that Dominick Cruz is going to be the one to finish Deiveson Figueiredo, but I think Dominick can stun and maybe just give him something to think about. Like, put him on notice with those jabs, those hard shots. They're not going to be the soft ones that they're going to feel different at bantamweight is what I'm really trying to say. But I'm trying to pull up Chito Vera versus, what was it? Chito Vera, his last fight. I believe, that was a 5-round fight, so main event. Man, I got I think I'll go with Chito. Why am I talking about Chito? Sorry. Dominick Cruz by decision, utilizing his wrestling, utilizing his speed, utilizing his motion, the jab, the striking, the kicks, all that type of stuff. Kind of overwhelming Deiveson Figueiredo, putting pressure on him. I think the movement and the speed and, the weight class difference are really going to be big in this matchup. That's all I really got for y'all. Leave a like on the video, subscribe. Peace out, most guy. You already know what it is.